Because, now you're making decisions based on how mad I am that they're killing me. Or I'm making decisions based on, oh, we're up by 14, whatever. You can't do that. You got to make decisions based on your commitment of what you're teaching, of what you're coaching, of what your game plan is, of what the end result of what you're trying to do is. So make sure that when you're teaching character, you're teaching the pillars, that you talk about the consistency of those things. It's okay to be a great person today. You got to be a great person tomorrow too. You got to stay committed to these things. And I also want to make sure you understand this. And I've been through Victory with Honor several times. I don't want to sound preachy when I go through this stuff. Okay? Because I've broken every one of these rules 500 times. It's called pursuing victory with honor. We're pursuing it. We're not going to get there. I've taken it, some people that have done it, and it sounds like they're preaching, and it's kind of like you're preaching to me. Like you have, pursuing. It's stuff you want to keep in mind. It's things you want to teach kids. It's at the forefront of what you're trying to do. But we're pursuing it. You're not going to get there. So if it sounds preachy, believe me, I've screwed these things up 1,000 times. What I like to do for myself personally is I give myself 20 mistakes a week. 20 mistakes a week, and I play carryover. So if I roll into a Friday with 7 mistakes left over, I'm like, I can screw up all day. This is going to be a good thing. So, it's a great little game I play. So if you're going to make mistakes, you're going to screw up. Kids are going to screw up. There's going to be issues. There's going to be a fight on the field. Doesn't make you look like a bad coach. I'm going to tell you this too. When you read in the Republic about some school where some kid set the bathroom on fire, or you read in the Republic about some coach whose kid left the bench and got in a fight, I'm going to tell you right now, don't go, oh, look what they're doing over at that school. Jesus. Because it's coming for you. There's only 2 kinds of people in education. Them that's in it, and them that's going to be. So if you're having a good day, revel in it. But don't get cocky, because tomorrow, it's coming. It's coming. Some kid's going to do something. It's coming for you. So keep that in mind. That's part of this job. Emotions change consistently. That's the only thing that is consistent. How can you get them to be committed and persistent? The circle of influence and the circle of concern. Anybody that's ever read Stephen Covey, and I'm a big fan of a lot of these people that do this stuff, and I truly believe, and I know you do too, is that what is foremost on your mind is what you'll gravitate toward and become. I tell kids all the time, if you want to be a leader, you read books on leaders, you read leadership, you read those kind of things. You want to be a positive person, you get around positive people, do what positive people do, emulate positive people. If you're a good athlete, you probably think a lot about your sport. If you're a great musician, you probably practice like crazy. If you're a good student, your homework's important to you. If you're face down in a pool of your own vomit by 7:30 on Friday nights, you probably know where every single kegger, every single party, and all those are. You have all those flyers in your backpack. Because we have those kids too. And sometimes we have those kids that are also athletes. So the best thing about the drug testing that they talked about a little earlier is it gives kids an out. Where a kid can say, dude, don't get tested. That's the best thing about drug testing. Circle of influence, circle of concern. If you haven't read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, read it. It's a great book. Outstanding book, and a lot of parallels to coaching, so it is really good. But he talks about the circle of concern is what we're worried about. It's always on your mind. Are you worried about gas prices? Did anybody do what that email said and not go to that certain? No, I didn't do it either. Okay, I read the email, but I didn't do it. Because I'm concerned about it, but I'm not concerned enough to really do anything. I love my father. My father is, I'm Polish and Italian, so I'll make you an offer that you can't understand. And it's a very difficult mix. You get that Italian side, aggressive, and I wanted to beat somebody up once and I forgot to. It's just kind of how it works. But my father is very Italian, and he gets fired up. And Tom knows, he stormed the sidelines. I mean, when we were at McClintock, he's nuts. And he gets so emotional about politics. He's in his late 60s now. He's a former Marine, which is why I have all the issues that I have. But he gets so fired up, I can't believe this is. I mean, he'll be yelling at the TV in the house, just ranting. I'm like, Dad, are you campaigning for any particular politician at this time? Well, no. Or are you out handing out flyers? Well, no, I'm not. But did you vote? Well, yeah, I did. Well, thank goodness. It's like, well, if you're not actively involved, then why are you losing your mind? That's the circle of concern. I love my dad. Sometimes he lives there. What you need to try to do is focus on your circle of influence. So the circle of concern's out here. The circle of influence is in the middle. And the more you affect your circle of influence, the greater that it eventually affects your circle of concern. You're concerned about a lot of things in our society. What better way to affect change than to do what you do? Be a teacher and a coach. One thing about our profession, we do really live in our circle of influence. Because we can influence kids that eventually we hope will make a difference for all of us. But your influence is right there on the field. You know? I try not to worry about, I'm going to watch film, I'm going to study, I'm going to find out what the other guy's doing. But you know what? Once it starts, I'm worried about what I'm doing. I'm making adjustments and everything, but I'm focusing on my circle of influence. I don't want to sit there and talk about them. What can we do to beat them? Kids get caught up in that all the time. I'm going to show you a little movie clip. Oh, if I do this right, somebody give me a dollar. I'm going to show you a little movie clip that I think kind of does this. Okay, this is Guru on this. I asked my guru, and can you Guru me enough? Anybody know Thanks. Okay, now. You just turn up the volume knob? You were reborn, man. See, I was the remote control in my house when I was a kid, okay? I have a hard time with that.
There are those who don't think you're mature enough to make it.
This will be the majority of my presentation, so I hope you're enjoying it.
To make a decision. All right, guys, listen up. We all know what's going on. An offer.
Well, don't tell me, because I'm not going to be able to do it. Show me. Coach, show me. Don't tell me, Coach. Show me. All right. Look, he just touched it. Okay, now, you go like this, right? And now if I hit play, it'll play that one, correct?
Let me get some. Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? What's wrong with all of them? Since when is winning not enough? Playing hard not enough? No. You have to humiliate your opponent. Taunt him after every score. You won 4 games last season. 4! What gives you the right to take the game truck? What gives you the right to wear Richmond on your chest and act like punks?
Coach, they were John too.
So, you can't show some class? Act like a champion? You owe me 500 push-ups apiece. On the line, now!
There's your circle of influence. Does it concern you when you see that stuff in the NBA? Does it concern you when you see pro athletes doing it? I hear concern all the time. I hear it on talk shows. You know how those guys are. If there isn't news, they'll create news. So, you can influence that. That's Big Groove Honor. Very simple. How dare you take a game that I love? You must love it, because I tell you what, you ain't getting paid enough to do it. You must love something, or you're not as smart as all the degrees you went out and paid for. You paid for. I mean, that's our profession, right? So you love it. That's your charge. That's your charge along with all the other things you're asked to do. But remember that as you see these things and as you make these decisions, everything doesn't, again, like the skinny wrist, you see the world the way you are. You don't see the world the way it is. Let me give you another example of context, things like that. Don't get too excited. This is a letter from a young lady to her parents. She has recently gone to college. Dear Mother and Dad, since I left for college, I've been remiss in writing, and I'm sorry for my thoughtlessness in not having written before. I'll bring you up to date now, but before you read on, please sit down. You're not to read any further unless you are sitting down, okay? Well then, I'm getting along pretty well now. The skull fracture and concussion I got when I jumped out of the window of my dormitory when it caught on fire shortly after my arrival here is pretty well healed now. I only spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and now I can see almost normally and only get those sick headaches once a day. Fortunately, the fire in the dormitory and my jump was witnessed by an attendant at the gas station near the dorm, and he was the one who called the fire department and the ambulance. He also visited me in the hospital, and since I had nowhere to live because of the burnout dormitory, he was kind enough to invite me to share his apartment with him. It's really a basement room, but it's kind of cute. He's a very fine boy, and we've fallen deeply in love and are planning to get married. We haven't gotten the exact date yet, but it will be before my pregnancy begins to show. Yes, Mother and Dad, I am pregnant. I know how much you're looking forward to being grandparents, and I know you welcome the baby and give it the same love and devotion and tender care you gave me when I was a child. The reason for the delay in our marriage is that my boyfriend has a minor infection, which prevents us from passing our premarital blood test, and I carelessly caught it from him. I know that you welcome him into our family with open arms. He is kind, and although not well educated, he is ambitious. Although he is of a different race and religion than ours, I know your often expressed tolerance will not permit you to be bothered by that. Now that I brought you up to date, I want to tell you that there was no dormitory fire, I did not have a concussion or a skull fracture, I'm not in the hospital, I'm not pregnant, I'm not engaged, I'm not infected, and there is no boyfriend. However, I am getting a D in American history and an F in chemistry, and I want you to see those marks in their proper perspective, your loving daughter, Sharon. It's funny how you can take life in context, isn't it? That's where, when working with kids, another issue that we have. As much as we want to teach what's right and wrong, we need to be careful of the context that they see things in as well as what they bring home to their parents. This is not my first day as an athletic director. And what I have found is you will get calls where a parent will tell you, or as a coach, this is what they told me. You've got to be kidding, you're doing. And you go, wait a second, that's not what I said at all. It's not that the kids are lying, it's that they hear one thing and they bring it home and it becomes something else. Make sure you are trying to explain the context of what you are trying to influence them on. Okay? Because it really does make a big difference. Again, we don't see the world the way it is, we see the world the way we are. People are very easily conditioned. I'll give you another little paradox of what you do. And this is the paradoxical commandments of leadership. And as you all well know, the first rule in leadership is, it's always your fault. It's just the way it works. 1, people are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men with the smallest minds. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs, but follow only top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Build anyway. People really need help, but may attack you if you help them. Help them anyway. And finally, give the world the best you have, and you'll get kicked in the face. Give the world the best you have anyway. Every single one of those pertains to you tenfold in what you're doing in your position. Victory with honor, specifically, what is it? How does it impact my coaching practices? How do we help our athletes and teams understand and demonstrate good character on and off the field or court? On and off. Are our athletes role models for other students? And so, what can we do to raise expectations for their conduct on campus, at games, and in life? Here's what happens. You start off strong, and you get tired of chasing. You get tired of chasing. You got to continue to chase. You're pursuing victory with honor. They are kids. See, and if you give kids a chance to act like kids, they will. That's their job. That's what they are. So it's your responsibility when you are in charge of them to not give them that opportunity. And then to try to school them enough so that they understand that as they go through life, attend school, and do all those other things. You know, I talk to teachers all the time about bell to bell. It gets old hearing bell to bell. You know, I'll do discipline. They'll sit the kid down, and I'll ask the kid, what were you doing in class? Well, they gave me the last 10 minutes of the period to study on my own. What does that mean? Unless you teach all AP honors and they're so scared about their grades they're really going to do that. All I know is when I was 16, you give me 10 minutes at the end of the period to study on my own. There were only two things I was interested in when I was 16. Getting a girl and getting in a fight. And as soon as I didn't get the girl, I was looking for the fight. They are going to act like kids. It's the same thing with practice time. It's the same thing with opportunities. Do you talk to them about don't kill the drill? You know, you give the lineman a break, you give this one, they run through the other drill. Don't kill the drill. Make sure they got something to do the whole time that you have them. Raise the expectations. Raise that bar. All they'll do is everything you ask. You'll be shocked how they will. They'll test you. They'll test you. And then there'll be those days where you have to make a decision. Are they worth it? Or do I really have to get rid of them? And those happen. Those happen. The difference between what you do and what you do in the classroom is in the classroom, and even grades and those kind of things. You know, those things can be worked out in the office. You mess up in what you're doing, you'll be on the front page of the Republic. And you'll have John Gavadoro talking about you in the afternoon. And it's just what we do. I mean, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. You've seen the stuff, you know, the great things, the kids who did this and that. You will be on the front page of the Republic. So when people are asking you to show the informed consent video, when you have to, all those things go along with everything you're trying to teach these kids. You want to make sure that you are covered.